What does it take to rebuild a life when the one you loved most shatters it in an instant? The night was alive with the pulse of summer crickets humming, stars piercing the humid Georgia sky. I was 24, riding shotgun in Lila's cherry red Mustang, her laughter louder than the engine's roar. She was my world, my high school sweetheart, the girl who made every moment electric. We were young, invincible, chasing the thrill of a late-night drive down Route 17. The radio blared classic rock, and Lila's hands danced on the wheel, her eyes glinting with that wild streak I adored. Faster, she teased, glancing at me with a smirk. I grinned, too caught up in her to say no. The speedometer climbed. 80, 90. My heart raced, not from fear but from the rush of being with her. Then came the curviest, sharp, unforgiving bend in the road. I saw it too late. "Lila, slow down," I shouted, but her foot stayed heavy on the gas. The tires screeched, the world tilted, and the last thing I remembered was the sickening crunch of metal against tree, her scream, and the darkness that swallowed me whole. I woke up in a hospital bed, pain searing through me like fire. My left leg was gone below the knee. The doctor's voice was clinical, detached. Amputation was necessary to save your life. Lila was there, her face pale, eyes red from crying. She held my hand, whispering apologies, promising she'd stay. I believed her. I had to. She was my anchor, my reason to keep going. But as the weeks dragged on, her visits grew shorter. Her smiles faded. I saw the pity in her eyes, then the distance. One day, she sat at the edge of my bed, avoiding my gaze. "Jake, I can't do this," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "You're different now. I'm not ready to be your caregiver." She left me there, broken in more ways than one, her words cutting deeper than any surgeon's knife. The months that followed were a blur of physical therapy and phantom pain. I learned to walk again, my prosthetic leg a constant reminder of what I'd lost. Friends drifted away. My job at the auto shop let me go to much liability, they said. But I wasn't just fighting for my body, I was fighting for my soul. Every step was a battle against despair, against the voice in my head that said Lila was right, I was less than I used to be. Then came Mia. She was a volunteer at the rehab center, a woman with a sharp wit and a smile that could light up the darkest room. She wasn't supposed to be part of my story, just someone who handed out water bottles and encouragement. But one day, as I struggled through a grueling session, she sat beside me, her hazel eyes steady. "You're not your leg, Jake," she said. "You're the guy who keeps showing up, even when it hurts. That's who you are." Her words hit like a lifeline. Mia didn't see me as broken. She saw me as stubborn, maybe even a little brave. She started staying late, sharing stories of her owner brother had lost an arm in Iraq, and she'd watched him rebuild his life. Mia became my friend, then something more, though I fought it, afraid of being hurt again. One night, over cheap coffee in a diner, Mia leaned across the table, her voice low. "You're not just surviving, Jake. You're living. Don't let her take that from you." She was right. I'd been carrying Lila's betrayal like a weight, letting it define me. That night, I made a choice. I wasn't going to be the guy who lost everything. I enrolled in community college, studied engineering, and started sketching designs for adaptive equipment prosthetics, wheelchairs, things that could make life easier for people like me. It wasn't just a career, it was a purpose. Years passed. I built a life I was proud of. Mia and I got married in a small ceremony by the lake, her laughter as bright as the sun on the water. I launched a startup, designing prosthetics that were affordable, functional, beautiful. My work took me to conferences where I spoke about resilience, about turning pain into progress. I wasn't rich, but I was whole more than I'd ever been with Lila. Then, out of the blue, she came back. It was at a tech expo in Atlanta, 5 years after the crash. I was at my booth demonstrating a new prosthetic design when I saw her. Lila, older now, her once wild eyes dulled by time. She approached hesitantly, her hands twisting together. "Jake," she said, her voice trembling, "I didn't know you'd done all this." She gestured at the booth, the crowd, the life I'd built. "I made a mistake. I was scared, young. I shouldn't have left you." I waited for the anger to surge, for the pain to claw at me. But it didn't. I looked at her, this woman who'd once been my everything, and felt nothing. Not hate, not love, just a quiet certainty that I was no longer hers to break. "Lila," I said, "you didn't leave me. You set me free." Her face crumpled, tears spilling as she nodded, unable to meet my eyes. She walked away, and I let her go, knowing she'd carry her regret far longer than I'd carried my pain. That night, I went home to Mia, to our little house filled with laughter and blueprints. I told her about Lila, expecting her to be angry, but she just smiled, her hand warm in mine. "She thought she broke you," Mia said, "but she only made you stronger." And she was right. The crash took my leg, Lila took my trust, but I took back my life. Every step, every design, every moment with Mia was proof of that. As I stood in our kitchen, watching Mia hum while she cooked, I thought about the boy I'd been, speeding down Route 17 with a girl who didn't know how to love me. I thought about the man I'd become, scarred but standing, not because of Lila, but in spite of her. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you fight for. And I'd fought for this, for love, for purpose, for a future I could call my own. Lila's regret was hers to carry. Mine was the victory of moving on.